have a devastating effect on Jackson Heights. And we're only beginning to see the benefits of what we call Obamacare. And actually, Obamacare is something that I believe that Democrats should be proud of, because once that all begins to kick in, I think a lot of the issues that we've talked about here during this interview would be helped. And so, Republicans don't have a solution. What are they offering? They're saying no to Obamacare, but what is their solution? I've never heard a solution for what are they saying? I don't know. It's just not out there. I listen to the news all the time, and all I hear them say is no. I don't hear them offering any type of solution to the healthcare crisis that we have in this country, particularly in areas like Jackson Heights and in high immigrant areas as well.
District.
Overcrowding. We have a whole new group of parents who are here and have bought co-ops, and they love the neighborhood, they love the diversity, and the biggest problem for parents is where do they put their kids for school, because that's something you really want. That's the one thing in life that you get one chance at, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
You don't get a good education if you don't get a good start, if you don't get a good basics in early childhood, kindergarten, first, second, third grade. It's going to be much more difficult moving forward. So our class sizes here are very high. They're in the 30s, exactly. And that's a huge problem. And the more the Department of Education talks about individualization of curriculum for students, and if you have 30 kids, 38 kids in a class, I had 38, I was a teacher, for 25 years. I was Milano's teacher.
Yay!
And if 38 kids, it's almost impossible to differentiate your instruction. So in today's world, you have to differentiate your instruction. When I first started teaching, we didn't have computers. We wouldn't be able to sit here and do this interview like this.
Yes.
It was a different era. Now you got to do this, you got to do that. You have to individualize your instruction. So almost every school in my district is at 120 to 200% overcrowded, overutilization. And parents are afraid to put their kids into schools with those types of conditions. If you ask the parents what do they think of their kids' teachers, most of the kids' parents will say they had wonderful teachers. But the problem is 30 kids in the classroom, lack of individualized instruction. We have a Muslim,
Right.
Hindu,
Uh-huh.
Catholic,
Mm-hmm.
Protestant,
Mm-hmm.
Jewish, small though, very small now. Jain,
Jane.
Jain. It's
Yeah.
Indian religion.
Oh, okay.
Sikhs. Anything else?
Punjab.
Buddhists? No?
Well, there would be,
Sikh is Punjab.
yeah, they would,
Yeah.
yeah. That's an ethnic
Some
group,
Buddhists,
yeah.
yes, Buddhists. You're absolutely right.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah, there was,
Thai Buddhist.
Right. Some Jehovah's Witness, but it's a
Right.
small minority. Yeah.
Mm. Okay.
Four or five.
Yeah, I think it's about right.
About
Yeah.
4 or 5.
Are they like underground? Cause like you don't have.
No. There's one on. They're visible. There's one in 78th Street and 31st Avenue, which is probably the biggest.
Okay.
There's one on 73rd Street, 72nd Street
30.
and 35th.
Okay, I've seen that one.
Yeah, and I forget the other locations, but I'd say 4 or 5 around. Some of them are smaller. They're in apartments or they're in the basement of an apartment building,
Okay.
something like that.
Okay. And do you think that religions, like these communities, get enough of like programs? Like, do mosques offer enough programs for their Muslim community, or like I know St. Joan of Arc like does a lot for the Catholic community, but
It's hard to say. There's one center, another one called the Mohammadi. I'm thinking on 72nd, right by you,
Okay.
across the street from the Greek church there. But they have small spaces, so I don't think that they are as able to do things like St. Joan of Arc. So, to the extent to which they can do it, with the limited amount of space, but probably there's a need for it. Like we don't have, like in Flushing, there's a big Islamic center, you know, with a room that could fit, you know, maybe a few hundred people or something. We don't have that here.
Okay.
There was some conflict with between Muslims, groups of Muslims,
Oh, okay.
where a woman who owns a building on 73rd Street and 37th Avenue, her name is Mina, buried her son in a non-traditional Muslim way, and the traditional Muslims were upset with her for doing that, and there was a story in the New York Times on that. But that's really the only time that I ever heard that.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Jewish Center of Jackson Heights allows Muslims to meet in there, which is wonderful. I mean, that's what should be going on in Israel. You know, I mean, if we could have that type of thing going on, we'd have world peace. You know?
Yeah.
So it's a model for the whole world to follow. I mean, and just go in there and you see it. It's just wonderful.
Do you think? Do you think there's also like a Korean or like a Chinese next to St. Joan of Arc, right?
Yes, that's the Community Methodist Church.
Okay.
The Community Methodist Church, though, rents out to other smaller denominations, like a Korean Christian church. I don't know exactly what religion they are, but so they'll rent things out, and sometimes into non-denominational churches. Like there's actually a gay church in there,
Oh.
and they rent like on a Sunday they rent one of the rooms and they have a service in there.
Oh. Okay.
So
Okay. Do you think St. Joan of Arc does a lot for Jackson Heights?
yeah, it does. They have a great sports program for kids. I do contribute. I'm allowed to give funding to like the sports program, but not to the church itself. So I help to support that program. They have girls softball team. So they're involved in that sense. They sponsor the senior center, the Catherine Sheridan Senior Center.
Where's that?
That's on 83rd Street. It used to be the convent, and it's been converted into a senior center now, and it's run by Catholic Charities, and that's a very nice senior center. A lot of people go there.
Okay.
So they do. They give a lot back to the community.
Okay.